and the website is www.wangukanjafoundation.org. Thousands of women have come through, women, children, little girls and little boys, because she deals with all kinds, rape, sodomy, victims of sexual violence. I tell you, the story is harrowing. Keep tweeting at Wangu Kanja, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag, never give up. Caroline Minor, let me just read a few tweets. Caroline Minor says, Wangu is a very strong woman. I can't even bear the imagination of the ordeal. I'm proud of you. So inspiring. Defend Team says, very strong woman, from Wangu Kanja Foundation. So much passion on air. Kim Martha, you say, rape is a hard conversation to have. True. We rationalize, condone, and justify the act. Keep tweeting again, like I said, at Wangu Kanja, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag, never give up. And you never gave up, did you?
I've wanted to give up so many times, but when I touch one life and there is hope, I'm always given a second opportunity.
How do you start your foundation?
So, some of the challenges that I faced is I abused alcohol as a coping mechanism. And for me, 2.5 years where I just hit rock bottom, I had to figure out how I'm going to come back up.
Was it every day?
Every single day.
Heavy liquor?
Yes.
Whiskeys and whatever, vodkas and
yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
So you were escaping. You were trying to escape.
I had to numb my pain. And I'm not the only one who does that. So many people do it. Mm-hmm. And there are so many ways of coping with it. Alcohol, drugs, you become promiscuous. You have sex, mechanical sex, because you want to feel loved. But that's not the way to go about looking for love.
But you were doing it. You were going through those motions.
Yes. And it wasn't, it's not something that I would actually advise anyone right now, because it puts you at the risk of being violated again, contracting HIV, conceiving, and so many other things. So for me, when I hit rock bottom, I was like, I must do something.
At what point did you hit rock bottom?
I was seated in a bar and I was thinking, what have I turned out to be? Because that wasn't me. The drinking wasn't me, the anger wasn't me, the resentment wasn't me. So I had to find out and come into terms with what happened. So I had to find a way of coming out. And it's a process. It's not a one-day affair. It has taken me 12 years to actually come into terms and just say, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because I was even scared of having a family. Why should I bring children into this world where there's a lot of violence and some of it is just too difficult even to describe.
You still scared?
Yes, I am.
You're not ready to have children?
Kind of. Not 100% sure, kind of.
Did suicide ever come into the picture?
Yes, so many times. Because people blame you. People look at you as a person who actually made the mistake. People don't work with you. I didn't have anyone. I had to go and pick my results December 22nd. I went alone. I was scared whether I would turn out to be HIV positive or not. I didn't have anyone to hold my hand and walk with me. And that's one of the biggest challenges most of the survivors have. If you have anyone who's going through such a traumatic experience, you need to hold their hand and walk with them.
Okay, when women come up to you
Yep.
and they've gone through the test
Yes.
and they're told they're HIV positive,
Yeah.
what do you tell them?
I can't tell them I know what they're feeling because the experiences are different. So what I tell them is I'll just work with you. And working with them is helping them get psychological support mental health is important for anyone who has gone through a traumatic experience, for them to recover. So just being there for them. If they need to cry, give them a shoulder to cry. Don't tell them, I know how you're feeling, or
Because you don't know.
yeah, you don't know. I'm being your friend. No, just be there. Listen to them. Don't impose your beliefs and culture.
Does this happen a lot?
Yeah, it does. Case in point, this is a form of gender-based violence where Mwende was prayed for, and he went back to a relationship where both her hands were chopped off. We impose...
That Mwende Nukambani?
Yeah. It was in Kitui or Machakos, and she went to China and got... for me, it's... Don't tell someone, walk with them. You might not say anything, but being there for that person will help a lot.
Yeah.
Because they need a support mechanism. And it happens to men, women, and boys. Can you imagine what happens to a young boy who's been raped and cannot speak about it because he's been told, you're a man, you need to act like a man? That boy will grow being resentful and hating every single person. Yeah. And then we ask ourselves, why do we have children who are being radicalized? Why do we have insecurity issues? It's because we are not addressing underlying problems.
Basic issues.
Yeah, very basic. Give me a shoulder to cry on, and you will sort out most of my problems. Because all I need is to regain my dignity back. Help me take my dignity back. Because when you're raped, that person takes away your dignity.
Sure.
Yeah.
The other thing I read about you, Wangu, is the fact that you've come across women who have given birth to children who are the product of rape.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. And to add insult to injury, you actually contract HIV, conceive, and you actually have gone through rape. So you're addressing 3 issues. And for me, that's a difficult thing to deal with. How do you tell your child that you're as a product of rape? Where do you start? Or when the child was born, they contracted HIV. How do you start that conversation? The community or even our families don't give that safe environment for people to share their stories without discrimination or stigma. So we as Kenyans or from the different families or ethnical groups, we need to be human enough to provide that safe space for that woman, for that man, for that boy, for that girl.
Coming back to the child of rape, I'm sure there's a lot of resentment from the mothers of that child who reminds them of that horrific ordeal, right?
Yes.
Do they talk to you about that?
Yes, and we actually take them through a psychological process where they talk to counselors day in, day out, and we try to think outside the box. So do we have people who can take them through like an art therapy session, dance movement session? Because having one-on-one actually drains you. Can we look for alternative ways to help people start their healing process? We have them. But because we have not created a safe environment, the women are not coming out.
No.
The girls are not coming out. The boys are not coming out. And then those same people become potential perpetrators of the same crime.
Absolutely.
So
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So we are not breaking the cycle of violence. We keep on fueling it. And it's a high time as Kenyans we start looking at who we are as a family. We need to start there.
But tell me something. The Wangu Kanja Foundation, in the middle of Mukurukwa Ruben, it doesn't get more inner city, more slum, for lack of a better word, than that.
Yeah.
Do people listen to you when you talk to them about this?
Yes,
do they listen to you?
Yes, they do. But it takes time. It has taken, 6 years for people to actually listen and resonate with what I'm telling them. Because I keep on telling them, if you don't do anything about it, that person will actually violate somebody else. A boy, because we have boys who've been sodomized over and over again.
Over and over again?
Yes. And it's not one boy. There's one man who actually sodomized 22 boys.
And he's still out there.
Yeah, and he's
in
still out
Mukuru.
there. Yes.
And people know him.
Yes.
And they've identified him.
Yes.
And nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Because we are not holding the structures that we have or the mechanisms that we have as a country responsible. We have laws, we have policies, but we are not holding those duty bearers accountable. They are not enforcing.
Is there
the
any
laws.
hope, Wangu? At the end of the day, is there hope?
There is hope, but we need to come together as Kenyans, as men, women, and because sexual violence or any other form of gender-based violence is no longer a women's issue. It's a social issue that affects every single person. And if one person is affected, everyone else is affected. So if I'm affected, you're affected. Because if I don't go through a healing process, I become a potential perpetrator, then I'll abuse you.
Yes.
If you're my neighbor and you don't knock at my door when you hear us fighting, then chances are it might come to your house. What we need to do is actually stand up and say enough is enough. We need to address the root cause. And for me, the one sad thing is the people who lead us, the political leaders, are not talking about this issue. And when they talk about it, it's a joke. The issue of sponsor and sponsoree. In those relationships, boys and girls are being violated, and nobody is doing anything about it. So I'm holding the president, the deputy president, and all political leaders responsible because they said they are going to uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
By the way, you have a letter for the president, don't you?
Yes.
We're going to read it after the break. Okay, hold the letter after the break. But real quick, before the break, do you ever think of giving up?
So many times.
Yeah, this must be a horrific daily encounter for you.
Yeah, to a point where I actually struggle coming out of bed. Because you have a girl who's 13 years old. She's gone through rape. She's been admitted in hospital for a whole week. She comes out. You want to hold the perpetrator accountable. The perpetrator and their family are threatening the child and the family. Where do you take them? If you have 100 of them, where do you take them? How do you help them to safeguard their security? Our court systems are, I don't know what even to say about it, because it takes years and years for a case to be concluded.
And at the end of the day, the perpetrator is known.
Yeah.
In Mukuru kwa Ruben, they know the people who rape, who sodomize, who violate.
They are known.
And they get away with it.
Yes. Because one, we have not equipped even our police with equipment to investigate, to document. Because one of the reasons why we lose so many cases is lack of equipment to collect evidence.
Yeah.
And we need to do that so that we can build a case for the survivor and their family.
Let's take a break, Wangu, and come back and let's read your letter to the president.
Yep.
It's only fair because you guys must go through hell every day. If you think you're going through hell, listen to Wangu Kanja's story and the thousands of women from Mukuru kwa Jenga to all the inner cities and young girls and young boys who get violated on a daily basis. And the perpetrators are all known, and the perpetrators are walking the streets. This is going to lead, like you said, this is a tinderbox. It's going to explode at some point.
Yes.
It's going to have to.
We need to look to address it.
We need to address it.
Yeah.
Jeff Kinanga live at the Villa Rosa Campus takes a break. Keep tweeting at Wangu Kanja, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag never give up. We're going to take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. Keep tweeting. We are back in a moment.